we vet them, we work with them, and then at the end of the day, we build business cases together with them, and BFG would also invest in them after that. So let me briefly share my screen to just introduce once more what we do, how we do it, and then we'll jump straight to the questions. So hope everyone can see my screen. Basically, today we will be presenting two of the programs. One is 6 weeks, one is 12 weeks. Different focus areas. I will get into the details in a second, but let me just summarize again what we do. Right, BFG is a VC investor, but we also build companies. So I guess this slide is pretty cool because it summarizes all the most important facts. We invest 70 to 100K tickets. We have over 20 startups that we have incubated in-house that we also invested in. The team is over 10 people big now. We do equity only primarily. In exceptional cases, we would also consider token investments. Obviously, it's a Web3 accelerator, incubator. Therefore, our focus is strictly Web3. We don't care where you are, so you can work wherever you want, from wherever you want. You can be based wherever you want. We have a remote and international first approach. And I think most importantly is the statement that we try to identify teams and entrepreneurs before they build the MVP, because that's a very interesting stage. A lot of people struggle with getting a foot down as an entrepreneur, and we want to step in and help exactly at that stage. A glimpse of, our previous investments. In total, we have made over 50. 20 of them are startups that went through the accelerator and incubator. So you see them in the middle box. You might know a few, and on the right-hand side, you see, direct investments. We do have, our cousins, our blockchain founders, Capital. They can invest direct tickets up to 500,000 euros. Briefly, also what we try to cover, basically all Web3 areas that you can think of. But I think important to mention here is that we try to get into areas that are untapped or innovative enough to be explored. So if there's any team currently sitting in this room and you're thinking to build the next OpenSea or the next Binance, decentralized exchange, then, you're a bit too late. So 2 years too late, to be precise. So basically what we try to identify are entrepreneurs that have ideas and that want to proceed with ideas that are relevant enough and competitive enough to be sustaining for the next 2 years. A glimpse also to the team with 6 very, very operative Web3 people. Myself, my colleagues, all Web3 degens. We've been in the space for a lot of years. I mean, a few years, but a few years is already a lot, I would presume. And we have, we specialize in company building. So anything, especially if you start from scratch, if you're in a stage where you're pre-MVP, pre-revenue, and you fail to get fundraise done, you fail to get a product market fit, that's what we specialize in. And that's what we have been doing for the past years. We have a very strong network of advisors. I know these days a lot of people call themselves advisors, but actually we pay our advisors, our selected advisors. So people, not all of this page, but a lot of people in this page, we actually compensate. So they have skin in the game. They have an interest to really, push our startups as well. So there is an incentive, and they will help and support our startups where it's needed. And finally, now coming to the program. So essentially, the message is this, right? Launch your Web3 startup, your crypto startup within 2 to 3 months. That's the promise. So you come in with with or without an idea, with or without a team. We would take you in, we would validate and challenge you to your idea, and then we would, and also in specific cases, we would create a completely new idea, would pivot, would challenge you, and then in the end of the day, after the 2 to 3 months, you will become, in the best case, you'll become CEO of your venture, and we will put a bit of money in your venture as well, of course, in return for equity that BFG would get. Depending on which program you land into, you will also receive compensation, right, for your time. We understand that a few people here are still employed or are not employed. Whatever the case, we want to support you somehow, so you get a small compensation as well. Just to give you also a glimpse of previous founders, feel free to look them up, right? You can search them on LinkedIn. They very, very present. We made sure that, you know, if you type in their first name and the last name, you will find them probably first top 3 results. That's what we made sure as well. And you can check their startups, you can check their journey, very interesting people. And I think what I want to mention here is that, again, we make sure that it's remote first. Most of the entrepreneurs I've just seen after 6 months, right? So we've been working 6 months every week. So we've almost seen each other almost on a daily basis, but in person, I see them like maybe every year once, right? So remote first and international first, because we believe that region and a location where you're based should not be a limitation for yourself. So wherever you are, we would be happy to take you in. And then finally, we make sure that our founders stay majority shareholder, right? So that there's a right incentive. You will keep 90 to 94 or 96% of the equity of your firm. Just a few statistics. We get around 1,000 applications per year. We have a lot of partners, a lot of investors in our network. We do average ticket size, again, 70 to 100K. We have a lot of events. And again, here are a few of the startups that we have incubated, and the same startups have received grants from the right-hand side. So yeah, that is growing. And it proves that, you know, the quality of our startups is indeed good enough to be getting grants, to get, you know, equity-free grants from protocols, because they want our startups. Testimonials. Yeah, by the way, you will receive this deck after this session as well, so you can read everything up again. Our application is pretty straightforward. You apply, we will invite you. If the application is successful, you will be invited to an interview, and then from there it's going to be really quick. We'll onboard you, and then immediately we'll start building, right? So the building part is 12 weeks, 6 to 12 weeks, depending which program you apply for. And then in the end of the day, we will invest 70 or 100K into your startup. Just a quick glimpse to the difference, right? So we have the Superstars program and we have the Adrenaline program. So, and the only difference is which stage you are. So if you don't have an idea, you don't have an MVP, you don't have a team, so you're basically just yourself, then the Superstars program is perfect for you, because the only thing we need there is that you're willing to start a Web3 business and that you're willing to go into entrepreneurship. If that is your motivation, then we'll help you. And then there's what we found out after 2 years is there are teams that are at a very tricky situation. They have an MVP, they have a team, but they don't have revenue. And that is a very tricky stage, because you're too early for VCs, so they won't invest in you. Maybe you don't have the network to angels, so they won't invest in you, but you have a product and you think if you get the money, then you will be able to accelerate. And that's why we came up with the Adrenaline program. It's a 6 weeks fast track program where we specialize in exactly, you know, working with people that are in this tricky spot in between ideation and VC money. So the only thing that you need is you know, basically somebody who challenges you and gets you to the first dollar of revenue, right? And that's what we focus on in the Adrenaline program. So to recap, if you don't have a team and you don't have an idea, apply for the Superstars program. If you have a team and you have an idea, go for the Adrenaline program. We are also news. It's fortunately and unfortunately, it's all in German. So if you want to read up, feel free to scan the codes. Been featured in BTC Echo and BN Crypto. To also wrap it up, you know, we have 3 checkpoints. So this is basically how our program works. We have a warm-up phase. The first 2 weeks are sort of, feeling out whether we can work together, whether the program is the right fit for you, and vice versa. And then after that, we go immediately over to phase 2, where we have 3 checkpoints. Immediately in the first week, we'll go live. I know it sounds crazy, but it is possible. You get an idea and you immediately go live, meaning you have a website, you have a corporate identity, you have a logo, you have a branding. BFG will help you with that so that you can actually can go live within 1 week. And then from there, it's all about speeding up and getting your product market validated on the market. That's why we need to go live. The second checkpoint is actually go to market. So how can you not just go to market and sort of go online and click the button that you publish the website, but also how can you systematically grow your brand presence? So it's in checkpoint 2, we'll deal a lot about growth hacking, outreach, marketing, and all that stuff, so that people see you and see what you build. And then in checkpoint 3, we would then prepare for fundraise for the funding that you get from BFG. So we'll explain to you how the investor thinks, what to take, what to prepare in order to be successful in such a pitch, and so on and so forth. And then we will talk about how to do the legal stuff. Yeah, and just I guess one more comment here. We differentiate between the main sessions. So that's like a weekly Monday call. But in between, we also have tactical workshops. We'll invite external people who are experts in let's say, legal, sales and marketing, fundraise, business basics, finance, and stuff like that. So everything where we can, basically be a shortcut to our founders. That's what we will deal with in tactical workshops. And then we will have stand-up sessions. That's sort of a weekly closing where we talk about progress, challenges, maybe where founders can learn from each other, right? Because we share experiences, but also direct feedback from the BFG team. So that is the structure. Monday check-in, Friday check-out, and then in between we have tactical workshops. What can you expect from the BFG Superstars and Adrenaline program? Of course, mentorship and advice, candid, constructive, and I would say honest feedback, right? We have no incentive to lie to you. We have no intention to, put you back or set you off. We have an interest in, making you the best founders and essentially giving you money in the end, investing in you, right? So we will give you the most honest feedback so we both profit from it. Also clear, you can expect clear actions, what to actually do. And I think I want to emphasize here that a lot of times when you get feedback, it's like very generic, like, the story can be better, tell the story as if, you're not selling something, but you want to build a relationship and stuff like that. But that's very, very generic, right? So what do we mean with actionable feedback? It means that we will tell you to make 5 calls with these 5 people to really grow and get better in storytelling, to every time after you pitch, you get better. And so we will plan it out for you and we will push you so that you can do it yourself. And then, of course, we'll invite external people to further validate your idea. And then lastly, of course, it's a BFG network that you will be joining. So everyone who has joined our network has been an addition to the family. And whenever you need feedback to any future idea that you have or whatever it is with related to Web3, we will listen to you and we will hear you and possibly give you feedback there as well. That was the boring part. Everything regarding BFG and the program and everything. Feel free to connect to me. If we don't get the chance to answer any questions of you, you can send me an email, you can send me a message on LinkedIn, but without any further ado, let me jump right into the questions. Again, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself, but I'll just go ahead and pick the first one from the chat. So just to clarify, this is purely for crypto startups, meaning this won't be open for those who wish to put startups in agritech, yes. So it has to be a crypto focus. So what we have seen in the past is, for example, a learning platform for blockchain related projects that would still qualify. So it's totally non-tech. It's the surface of blockchain, right? But that would be something we would consider. So it doesn't have to be deep tech, but it has to have a Web3 focus. What criteria apply to the product you want to support? I think this is a very broad question. It really depends on whatever you're building, right? So if let's say you want to build a derivatives exchange, right? And you're not tech, you don't have a CTO, you don't know how to program, that will be something quite difficult, right? Or you want to build an Oracle without tech knowledge and without the ability to find a CTO, right? That will be hard. So what we usually do is, again, and I think that is also one of the key points why you should be joining our incubator or accelerator, is because if you exactly are in that situation where you want to build something tech related, but you don't have the tech person, then we can also help you hire your co-founder, right? And then it's up to you if you can inspire this person, right? But that is something we can hint you to, and we can help you hire. Yeah. So, do you look for ideas that can become a startup unicorn? What is the percentage you usually request? Of course, yeah. So if you build a startup, then definitely we would expect that there must be the potential for you to become $100 to $1 billion valuation startup. Otherwise, we wouldn't invest, right? If there's no monetary incentive for us, then we won't invest. And I think one example to give you here is we had a team. They wanted to build a marketing agency, right? They wanted to basically hire a few UX designers and then sell that to Web3 companies. It's a very nice business model, right? Very much needed, but it's not scalable because you are dependent on people, you're dependent on human resources, and therefore that was not a case that we are particularly interested in. It could be a strategic investment, but we don't do strategic investments. So we do investments, of course, based on profits, but also with the monetary incentive. What is the percentage you take usually? Our average benchmark is, I think, 8%. But from some startups we get 10s, from some we get 3. So really depends on your valuation and your performance, right? Obviously, if the better you perform, the greater your KPIs are, your credentials are, the higher the valuation goes, right? So imagine you build a startup with us, and within 5 weeks you already generate revenue. Obviously, that is a higher valuation than somebody who doesn't generate revenue, right? And of course, depending on the business model, but I hope you get the message. So it's variable. Is it on-site, remote, or hybrid? It's 100% remote, but we do invite everyone to a yearly retreat in Germany. So yeah, that is also one of the highlights, the portfolio day, where we invite all our affiliated investors, all our portfolio startups, and it's a great event just to network with investors, feel them out. Some also close deals on site. So that is a great event to see each other in person. As a solo founder with an idea that's not in MVP stage, how specific should I be in my 1-minute introduction? Should I keep things as simple as possible and then develop the idea via mentorship? Yeah, that's a good question, right? So in our application form, we ask for a 1-minute video of yourself. And honestly, there's no perfect answer to this. The best way I would answer it is, how can you make yourself stand out, right? How can you make yourself stand out such that we as the selecting committee remember you? Because we also have our weekly meetings, and we go through the applicants, and then if there was a video where it was pretty standard, then nobody will mention it. But if there was a video that was outstanding, then one guy or one of the team members will say, oh, have you seen this person? And this was quite interesting, or that was quite interesting. And it's a great. Why did we add this video? Not because particularly we want to get to know you, because we'll get to know you in the interview, but because we want to understand how well you can deal with dealing with strangers. Because if you think about it, if you reach out to investors and you want to get funding, how do you approach them? Do you send them the standard investor intro that everyone sends an investor? Or do you find a way to stand out? And that's what we want to test. So there's no perfect answer, but be creative, be yourself, and try to leave an impression on us. Can nonprofit companies apply? No. No. So it has to be for profit only. If you're actually working, can you join the program? Yes. So if you are employed and you want to still join the program, it is possible. You just have to make sure that your employer either doesn't find out, or you make sure that you're allowed to do it, right? We have done it in the past. There were a few entrepreneurs that joined while still working part-time or full-time even, and then just work until midnight. We have had that. Some performed exceptionally well, so it works. But you always have to ask yourself, can you produce the same results as somebody who has 60 hours instead of just 20, right? So that is something you need to you need to answer to yourself. And then the follow-on question is, can you outperform your competition, right? So if you only have 20 hours and somebody has two founders maybe, and both of them are full-time, meaning 60 hours, then you're competing against 120 hours. And are you smart enough to outperform them is the question. If you are, then happily take you in. How likely are solo founders accepted? Very likely. We expect for solo founders, and we would want them to match inside the cohort, right? So a lot of people join as solo founders, and in the best case, we love to see people, matching inside the program. If your platform takes more time than expected to build, how's the launch affected? That depends. So that really depends, right? But it's up to you to reiterate and come up with a backup plan in case there are delays. But from our side, there's no pressure, right? As long as you keep building and everything makes sense and is within reasonable sphere, then we would definitely, accept that. If I apply to the program for S4 and failed to get in for whatever reason, will there be any privilege or disadvantage when I apply next time? No. So actually, we like seeing people coming in after being rejected, because it shows consistency. It shows willpower, and I think that is something that is very important to be to be a founder, because you have to hear 100 no's until you hear one yes. That's how it's going to be when you do fundraise. That's how it's going to be when you do sales. You receive a lot of no's. So we would want to see that, right? Do you apply over and over again? Of course, the next application has to be better. So that is maybe something you need to look out for. What about a startup which is tested, which is in tested idea and 60% ready for the MVP, that needs support with redefining a business model and still needs team building support? Is that for Superstars or the Adrenaline? That would be something for the Adrenaline program, because you already have an idea, a tested idea. So the importance is that it's tested. Tested means from our definition that you've talked to clients, you've talked to potential users, and they said they want it. That means tested. And therefore it would be qualified for the Adrenaline program. Do you help in concretizing the idea? Yes, definitely. So you come in with your best guess, and then we will challenge you. And that's why I mentioned when I presented the team, everyone is in the Web3 space. I'm in the Web3 space since 2015. Zhongchan, my colleague, is in the Web3 space since I think 2019-ish. Melissa's in the space since years. So whatever you come up with, we will challenge it and we will help you concretize it. I have a founding team, but still need team members and an idea. How specific should we be in the 1-minute video? So I like that question, right? Because it goes again for the video idea. So when you don't have an idea and you don't have, maybe you have a team, what the hell do you talk about in the video? And I think there you have to go get very, very creative, because you have only yourself to present. So in some way or another, it's almost like a date. You have to leave an impression. You have to leave a positive impression on us, so that we will invite you for an interview. And that's going to be the challenge. I won't be able to answer this question, because if somebody asked me to do a video about myself for 1 minute, I wouldn't even know how to do it, right? But I probably would come up with something. And I think the best answer I can give is try to understand how we think, how the people watching the video, meaning the core team, but also the managing director of Blockchain Founders Group, how they will evaluate the video, and then tailor that video towards exactly your assumptions. Okay, so this question is answered. Okay.
I have a short question regarding the implementation. You said you want to go to market really quickly. Like, what about the legal barriers, especially like in the Web3 blockchain space? Like, there are coming new regulations are coming up, and it takes a lot of time and also money to go to market. If you have some ideas and concepts there, what is your advice here, and how do you deal with these legal challenges?
Yeah. So my first question is, are you German?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Because that's a very German question. That's a very German question. Asking about regulatory stuff. To answer this, so I like the word calculated risk. So as an entrepreneur, you will always face risks, right? And you need to answer yourself, what is the risk that you can bear, and what is risk you cannot bear? And knowing that, you will know if you can launch a certain product that might be regulated or not. And so there are two. So I want to answer this question with twofolded. So the first part is BFG knows quite well what is regulated and whatnot, and what we can expect to be regulated or not. So and that's based on all our advisors. We talk on a weekly basis, with all these people, and we get a pretty good understanding of the market, what's possible and what's not possible. So if you suggest an idea, immediately we will know, okay, this is feasible on the German market or not. And if, let's say, it's not feasible because it has certain risks, then we can also assess whether, how great the risk is. If the risk is really, really low, and we can design the product so that it's always a bit unambiguous, then that's a calculated risk that the entrepreneur should take to proceed, right? We're not saying breaking any laws, but maybe working around them in a way such that it becomes a calculated risk. So I think that is something we would definitely be able to help you out with. And in extreme cases, let's say it's something we cannot answer, then we would just ask our blockchain lawyers.
And if you face companies that have already answered that, for instance, we're working together with Alireza, like he's also one of your advisors, and we need just like the time to implement like the last solution. Are we also suitable for your program to like discuss the business model a little bit more and like implement the legal part? Or do you think we are like at the later stage? So we did the kind of MVP like virtual investments and got some traction there already. So we did it exactly as you said. We built something around it, but we cannot build an investment feature without, like, we cannot fund companies without any legal advice. So what would how would you proceed in this case?
So I think the answer I would give here is that the adrenaline program would be quite suitable, because there we would be immediately be able to first challenge you, and then secondly, if if that challenge is over, would immediately give you a call, set you on a call with one of our blockchain advisors, legal advisors, because they will be they will be able to give you the answers that you need in order to kickstart or launch ASAP. But you see that is I would assume that you are at the very tricky stage, because you might have an idea, you might have an idea already, but you can't get across that legal barrier because there's uncertainties, and without that, VCs won't invest in you, right? So I think that is like sort of the tricky spot I was mentioning earlier, and therefore I think the adrenaline program would be quite suitable.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on. You talked about valuation. The other side is the shares of the company you ask for your investment. Is there any standard average? I think, so the average is 8%, but depending on your performance and your KPIs, that could vary. So we have invested in startups where we just took 3%, and we have invested in startups where we took 10%. Do you have any experience or networking with the automotive industry? I don't, but actually our managing director was at BMW for 8 years, so she might be able to help there. What is the role of blockchain founders capital? Does it lead rounds right after the program or generate plans to? Good question. So blockchain founders capital is our cousin, you could think. We do the first round of up to 100K. And they could do the follow-on round up to 500K. They could. They have not yet, right? Because our startups actually most of the times found investments from other investors, and on paper it also looks better. So but they could. They could lead. They could also follow on, double down. Okay. Let's see, what is your investment instrument? SAYS or ASA. So so first of all, the investment instrument would be either SAFE agreements or convertible loan agreements, so CLA or SAFE, and so pretty market standard, nothing sophisticated. And then whether it's qualified for SAYS is up to the startup, right? The startup has to apply for these government programs or tax exemption programs. So if you do that, we can help, because a few of our startups actually got that as well, which makes it easier for angel investors to invest. But that would be on the startup, not on us. I do have a techno background. However, I'm looking for a co-founder with tech expertise. Does BFG help to identify the best person that could be a match? So what we love to see again is if we have matches within the cohort. It happens actually a lot, where a lot of solo founders join and then they find each other during the program and then just decide to co-found a company. Do we help with it? Partially. So so as a team, we know everyone, right? So we will see matches and we will just tell, me here, you fit, this person, ABZ, he would be, I think, a great match to you. You should talk to him, right? And then that's how a match would happen. But on the other hand side, we also have a directory of all people in the cohort, so you can always scout and see who you can onboard to your team. So what happened a lot is that, co-founders switch to, within the teams or with other teams. And that's really great, right? Because I love this dynamic. And I think that that's also very normal, because talents switch based on expectations, based on inspiration. So I think, that is what you can expect. if the idea won't find product market fit after the given time period, is that a problem? I think it depends on what you have done and how you evaluate the results. So let's say you have a best guess for an idea and you go to market and you talk to 100 people and all 100 people tell you, that's not something you want. Then there are two conclusions. Either, nobody wants a product and there's no product market fit, or you got the wrong target audience, right? And it is your job as a founder to identify which of the conclusions to make and then to pivot accordingly, right? So if you found there's no need for your product, then you switch. Then you find out why there's no need and whether it's just a slight change that you have to make or if it's a hard change that you make. So we talk about soft and hard pivots. If the target audience was wrong, then you test the next audience and the next and the next until you hit the target audience that you think might be the closest. And if they say no, then there's no demand, and then you need to hard pivot maybe. But that's something you will be needing to find out. If I apply with a team, should each team member apply individually? So if you apply for the Superstars program, then you should apply individually. But there's also one question that asks who else is in your team. So you don't necessarily have to, but it would be nice. And if you apply for the Adrenaline program, only one application. Okay. Oh, thanks, Melissa, for co-answering a few questions as well. Let's see, I'm just gonna skip those. Okay, are you based in Liechtenstein? No, we actually have two headquarters, one in Liechtenstein and one in Germany, but actually nobody is on site. So I work from South Korea. My colleagues are all spread around the world, some in Singapore, some in South Korea, some in Munich, some in Berlin. So it's quite spread. Are 50 founders part of the program? Yes. So we will admit around 50 to 60 to kick it off. But we will also sort of evaluate on a weekly basis whether the founder's right fit. So on a weekly basis, we check is everyone aligned? Is everyone still in the calls, or are people disrupting the flow? And then based on that, we will also take people out again. Okay, so okay, that's an interesting question. We are based in Italy. Do we require to relocate the company? So I think this question is also twofolded. If you are based in Italy for the program, you don't have to relocate because it's fully remote. But let's say we invest, then the question is, where is the headquarters of the company? And in that case, it's up to you. But we would always recommend choose a jurisdiction that is advanced in the crypto laws. Something like Dubai might be very adventurous because it has a lot of advantages when it comes to token launches and stuff like that, governance. Liechtenstein is quite popular when it comes to tokenization of assets, but for certain countries, they require you to relocate. So if you want to make use of the Liechtenstein Token Act and tokenize assets, for example, and do security offerings, then somebody needs to relocate there, right? And usually that's a quite good indication and filter for where you should found, because most countries want you to relocate. Right? They want the founder to be close to the jurisdiction. Yeah. But if you're located in Italy and you want to found in Italy, then go for it. On what criteria do you filter the people to 7 to 10 investments? Very good question. So I think it's not a single answer. It's a package because it is a program, right? And we see you for the next 6 to 12 weeks. We get to understand you. So at some point you will know we are the right investors to proceed with you. And at some point, we will know that you're the founder that we want to proceed with. So that is something that we strongly pay attention to when we do, before we do investments. If there's a personal fit, but also if, visions aligned. For example, BFG is very, very outreach and sales and marketing focused. So we expect our founders to be able to talk to people and validate on ground with potential clients and users that there's demand for a product, for the product that they build. And we also would expect our founders to be sort of no resistant, because you will encounter a lot of situations where you will be rejected from potential clients, from potential users, but also from BFG, right? We will give you, again, honest feedback. And if we don't think that something will work out, we will tell you. And if you feel depressed from it, then, you should reconsider whether you want to become an entrepreneur, right? And instead, we would expect the founder to be reflective and try to jump over their shadow and become better, or become more reasonable, or pivot in a way or another. And then in the end of the day, from 50 founders, we make 5 to 7 investments, right? That is the sort of benchmark. Yeah. By when do we get to know if we were accepted in the program? So we'll have our first meeting this week. So this week we'll make the first selection, and I think it's a great time to apply, because we will have the next meeting next week, and then the next meeting next week, and we will accept on a rolling basis. So if you're in the earlier batch, there's a higher probability that you will get accepted, because as of now, we didn't get that many applications yet. We expect all the applications to, be submitted in the last week. Usually that's the case. And by then, the capacity is already a bit lower. So it will be harder to get in the longer you wait. Is it possible to have one-on-one pre-application session to review the idea viability before applying to the program? Usually what I would suggest is send me the deck, because based on the deck, we're pretty confident in the stage you're in and the quality that you can deliver. And then at least we can give you feedback based on that. But you can also reach out to me, and then we can schedule a call. That's also possible. So both, up to you. If you want to have a call, we can call. But usually a call just to pitch is wasted time. You can also just send me the PDF, and then I'll give feedback on that, and we can talk about more interesting things. What happens to the founders that are accepted to join the program but do not get an investment? Also very good question. So founders who are in the program, but where BFG does not offer an investment, you're sort of free to go. Like, there's no commitment. You don't have to pay back any of the compensations that we paid you. So we'll pay people in the Superstars program a small fee per month. If we don't invest, if we decide not to invest, you don't have to give us the money back or anything. There's no obligation. The only thing that you need to do is, in case you leave the program and in 4 months or so, you start another company, you should tell us that you started another company. Because that is, I guess, that is a security mechanism, backup mechanism. But it's also nice to always have somebody in the back watching you, right? In case you want to fundraise, then BFG would, of course, be interested to always listen to whatever you are building. Yeah. So let me check YouTube as well. Are there any questions there? But yeah, so far I think this session was the best. A lot of good questions. So
yeah, I have a question. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
How will it benefit applicants living in a country such as me, where the crypto business is hard to understand by the country's regulation and everything is centralized? Even though I have already been working remotely with Web3-based companies such as Anchor. So question is, how does BFG make it possible for applicant like me to expand decentralization in such country? Is there any risk involved? Yeah, from your perspective.
Mm-hmm. So what we can talk about is So one thing I want to mention here again is our vision is international first. So we would never, anyway, we would not want the founder to be restricted or focusing on one market only, but to many markets potentially. But let's say you want to enter the German market. I mean, that's a no-brainer. We're, I mean, the whole BFG is like based in Germany, right? We will be able to help there. If you need to talk to experts, industry leaders, help, we know we can connect you easily. If you want to expand to Singapore, luckily Melissa lives in Singapore, she can also connect you. So there's always ways to help you connect with the market of that you want to proceed with. But if it's like a market where nobody has a connection to from the BFG family, then it's up to you and how to solve that challenge.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Sure. Ertuğrul, you have a question too.
Hi. Sorry for the, I just came up a little bit late. Maybe you already answered that question, but I have been in the global trade industry for more than 15 years. So, but I don't have any MVP for now, but I have a great solution. I'm also in the NFT, DeFi, and Bitcoin talents program, both all the three. So, do I have any limits to apply this program? Because I don't have any MVP for now, and also I don't have any solution. Yeah.
So no, I answered the question earlier, but I'll just rephrase it again. The BFG Superstars program is specifically for people that don't have an idea, nor a team, nor an MVP. So the only thing that we look out for is the right motivation from the applicant and the right drive. So we would be definitely considering that. So feel free to apply.
Okay, but I already built the business model, and it's I think it's working. Maybe
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Same status. You can still apply.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Okay. So there's another question from YouTube. Blockchain as a social service idea would be accepted here. Where can I understand the process? Not sure if I understand the question right. But if it's regarding a business model question, I guess what we could, so if definitely we would have expertise in certain areas in the Web3 space. So we would, analyze the idea more with you, probably on a one-on-one call, and then we would together brainstorm whether it makes sense to proceed with the idea and also find out the roadmap to understand any processes there. Okay, so another question. I'm from Argentina, and I don't know if my idea is legal here, as it does not exist. Can the program help me understand local regulations? That is a tricky one. So if you want to understand the Argentinian regulations, then that's out of our scope. We could ask our advisors whether they have contacts there, but it would be on you to find out, legal constraints for a specific idea. Usually, legal regulatory concerns are around the world somewhat similar, not always the same, different penalties, different limits and stuff like that. But, nobody will argue whether a security is a security, right? The Americans have their definition, the Europeans have their definition, LATAM has their definition, right? But in a way, they are all pretty similar. So we would be able to give you a first guess. But to validate that further, we would need to consult with an expert person there, a lawyer, and BFG could think of funding that as well. So we would give you money to explore that. We might participate on an accelerator program in Singapore with Tenedy under a program organized by the Italian trade agency. Is that an issue? If you select, no, it wouldn't be an issue. You just, as a founder, you need to understand though, what the obligations are to the other accelerator and to us. and then you need to make your call. But we have had founders that were at Antler, at Entrepreneur First, in parallel to us, because they needed the Web3 expertise that they didn't get there. So that is definitely possible, but at the same time, you then have two investors, right? You would have Antler or Tenedy investing, and you will have BFG investing. It's not bad, but you need to understand or answer the question if it's good. And in the best case, I'm just throwing numbers out of my head, but in the best case, you give out 6%, 3% each, and each give 50% of the funding volume that you want. Right, that would be the best case, because then you give out little equity and you get two very good investors. Because I know Tenedy, and Tenedy is really good on the in the Singapore market, also very present. Okay, let's see. Is there any chance that applicants from this meeting will get approved? If so, what? Yeah, definitely. So I would recommend everyone who's interested to just apply, and then based on that, we will evaluate and then give you feedback, and then sort of I'll invite you to an interview. How many of the startups that went through the program managed to survive in the long run, 2 to 3 years, and became profitable? Let's see. So I think our current default rate, so we've been running the program for 3 years, and we've been investing since 2016, which is 7 years, or maybe 8. So I think our default rate is around 10 to 20% throughout the whole year, and around 20%, 15% for the incubators. So you can expect your one or two of your peers to just go bankrupt within the next 3 years, which is quite low, right? Because the default rate is 90% on average. So 9 of 10 peers will go bankrupt within the next 3 years is the benchmark. Okay, but very good question. Very good question. How old are your founders in your program? I think the average age is like mid-20s, late 20s, maybe. We have a few that are 30 to 40-ish. So it's quite mixed, but on the younger end, I would say. Okay. If legal environments in the European Union do not fit, how flexible are you with BFG to change over to other countries? Definitely. Easy question. If your certain jurisdiction doesn't allow you to proceed with any of your ideas, then you just switch to the jurisdiction that allows that, right? Definitely. But then sometimes you have to move, and you have to, as long as our founders are okay with it, definitely go for it, right? We are okay with it. There's no problem there's no blocker from BFG side. So if you want to move, up to you. But the question is, usually the founder is not willing to move, right? Because of family, of friends, and stuff like that. Okay, let's see. Who founded Blockchain Founders Group? Good question. So let me. It's not in this slide, but you can check that on our website. The founding partners are partially also on the website. You can find them. But 4 main people. One in the government of Liechtenstein. We have a blockchain entrepreneur from Germany. He's been in blockchain since 2015. We have somebody from VC with over 30 years in VC. Wolfgang, who's leading the Blockchain Founders Capital side. And then we have a serial entrepreneur with successful exit. So we have all 4 major areas that are needed to succeed as a founder, and you can get expertise from all 4 of them. Do you provide each selected team in a program with a certain amount of money before the program starts? No. So we invest after. So after the program has commenced. That would be week 10, 12, where you get the confirmation that we will invest. and then we will put the money in. And again, if you join the Superstars program, would compensate you with a monthly allowance, with a monthly stipend that is not repayable. You don't have to pay it back if you drop out, or there's no financial obligation whatsoever. Okay, so we're nearing the end. I want to just pop up this slide again. If you want to connect with me, or if any questions were unanswered, feel free to just jump over here, shoot me any questions that you have. I'll happily answer that. Let's see if there's one more question. Would you invest in a startup that may compete with one of our existing portfolio companies? A very good question. Yes, we would. So because it would not be wise to put all money on one horse, but on many horses. So if you have if you are the better founder, happily invest in you, right? Definitely would consider that. And I think we've done that a few times already. And yeah, perfect. Thanks everyone for joining, right? I can only say one more time, if if this program is interesting to you, feel free to apply as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, the less the chance that you will get accepted. It's still early. We still have only a few hundred applications, not thousands. So we will have our first evaluation this week. If you want to be in this batch of evaluation, you better apply quick. And if you have any more questions, connect with me, and hopefully see you soon in September. Thank you everyone for joining, and talk to you soon. Bye.